Thank you. Please be seated. Prior to this public session, we had a in-camera session where we received a verbal report on the new animal shelter for Uxbridge and Scugog. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Announcements from council and staff. I'll start out by saying that can't hear? It's on? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll just pull it forward a little bit then. Thank you. Prior to an earlier special council meeting and in-camera session, I'm pleased to announce that the township, the negotiations for a new contract with CUPE has been ratified earlier this afternoon, and we have a 4-year contract, which includes wages and benefits. So we're very pleased, and I want to congratulate both teams for a very respectful and passionate negotiations process, and I believe it's a win-win, lose-lose contract, and that's always a good thing, so pleased to say that. Any other announcements from council? Councillor Ross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to announce that the Scugog Island Community Association had their first AGM a couple weeks ago, where they identified their mandates, which includes the revitalization of the Island Hall as a cultural and community center. They've also identified their first project, which I'm quite excited about because it's a showcase of community pride. First project is a welcome to Scugog Island sign that they're looking at fundraising and getting forward. The Chief LaRocca and the MSIFN have also made a very generous contribution towards that, as in the order of about $3,000 going forward. So kind of an exciting time on the island. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Any further? Councillor Kiesebrink, then Councillor Watton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was my privilege to participate in the last meeting at the Blackstock United Church for the Ontario District Women's Institute. This is a wonderful group of ladies that have been meeting together from multiple generations, and what's so interesting is that their group over the years have advocated through as representatives at the United Nations, representing various agencies, and they've just done such an incredible job to support their community and to support each other and their families, and so we just applaud all of their efforts, and our mayor was there as well, and she gave a wonderful presentation to that group, and we just want to recognize them and appreciate them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Kiesebrink. They've been in for 108 years. They've been active, and this was their final meeting, the Shirley group of the Women's Institute. So, bittersweet day. Yeah, thank you. And Councillor Watton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to announce that on Saturday, May 18th, the Pine Ridge Garden Club will be holding their plant sale at the Nestleton Community Center. I believe it starts at 8:30, but if you want the famous tomato plants, you have to be there by 8, if not earlier, because they're always sold out. It is free. They do have a few draws and would welcome your support. And that's it for me. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements from council? Councillor Brown?
Through you, Madam Mayor, and just very quickly, I just want to thank everybody who contributed to McHappy Day this past week. I know that many of the councillors and her worship was there, so thank you to everybody who was involved with a very successful McHappy Day. I know Councillor Guido was there all day, if I'm not mistaken, so God bless you, nice job. I went back and forth between Scugog and Uxbridge. 2 other things. One, I'd like to congratulate the Raptors.
Yeah.
And if you didn't see the game, feel free to come by and ask me Kawhi, and I will explain it to you. And also, I'd like to congratulate, and it might seem a little bit out of sequence, the Guelph Storm of the OHL. They are champions. They beat Ottawa, so they move on to the Memorial Cup, and they are coached by Port Perry's own George Burnett.
Oh, great.
Who won a cup 21 years ago with Guelph. So I know George a little bit, the Burnetts a little bit, and congratulations to them. And best wishes.
Thank you. Councillor Brown, anything further? I would just like to say Regional Chair John Henry was also at that Happy Day in Port Perry. Yeah, and he spent an hour or so. Very pleased to have him there. And Councillor Guido, you can fry me up a hamburger anytime. I'm sure you're an expert at it by now. Any announcements from staff? Seeing none. I beg your pardon? Go ahead.
I just also wanted to just mention the 8th annual rooftop campout for our firefighters for muscular dystrophy on Friday. I think it starts at 5:30. So,
Thank you.
bring some coin to fill their boots.
Under number 9, public meetings, none. Number 10, presentation and delegations. I'd like to call forward Carol Jones and Mary Ann Free to come forward here to this table here. And Carol and Mary Ann are going to speak to us about the Victoria Street Residents Against Transit. So please be seated. There's a button on the microphone. Just press it down till the red light shows. Welcome, you have 5 minutes. Bring the microphone to, you see from my experience, you need to bring it forward to yourself.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Carol Jones. My husband Bob and I live at 540 Victoria Street. Your Worship, Mayor Drew, and councillor members, the purpose of my address is regarding the route Durham Transit Bus number 950 is using Victoria Street, even though we do not have bus stops. This is a residential street with seniors and families living here. We are concerned that the children going to school who cross Victoria Street are in danger. We also want to point out that new mailboxes have been placed at the corner of Victoria, just to the east of Old Simcoe, where the buses turn. People park their cars to get their mail. This causes more congestion and possible accidents. Victoria Street is in good condition and a straight run, except for one stop sign at Ash Street. And this goes on to Union, making this a speed issue as well. If these buses are allowed to continue using this route, you can be sure the weight of these vehicles will prove to be damaging to our road. We attended a meeting April the 17th, which Durham Transit had arranged. According to powers that be, the route was changed in April in order to save 4 to 5 minutes. We were told this is a permanent route. We were not aware of any notice that this change was going to be made. I understand you also were not notified of this route change. Durham Transit did say at that meeting, sometimes things can change. We have little faith that this is going to happen. The route maps have already been printed and distributed. I present to you our petition signed by 49 residents who live on Victoria Street. They are very concerned about the traffic and speed of these buses. Why can't the buses go south on Old Simcoe Road to King Street, head east to Simcoe Road? We want you to be aware of how your constituents feel. If there is anything that can be done to put some pressure on Durham Transit, that would help. Help in this matter would greatly be appreciated. Thank you for the opportunity to present this petition.
Well, thank you very much for coming. We have heard you loud and strong over the last, since the changes were made. The Region Transit Department has admitted that they kind of dropped the ball on the communications. Councillor Guido and Councillor Watton and myself have met with Transit and expressed your concerns, and I understand that at the there was quite a turnout at that public meeting. They have heard your concerns. They've heard ours. Councillor Watton has met with them a few times down at the region offices, as I have. And the good news is they are trying to work out another route, perhaps going back to the one that they had previously. At the latest, the changes will be made in probably September, but they're trying their very best to bring it as soon as possible, bring those changes as soon as possible. So I will leave it open for Councillor Watton or Councillor Guido if you have anything to add to that, and then we'll open it up to questions to you. So Councillor Watton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You summarized it quite well, and as Mayor Drew said, we have been diligently trying to advocate for you and have had several meetings, and we are very hopeful that the route will get changed, but we do ask for your patience. We won't forget, but just as it reared its head unknown to us, we hope that we can make it change sooner than later, but we truly are working very hard for you. And as I've met with
Vincent Patterson, the
yeah,
manager?
the manager, as well as the customer service representatives, Councillor Guido and myself and Mayor Drew met with them. So please rest assured, we're doing the best we can for you. We do totally agree that it shouldn't be the route, and we're hopeful that it will revert back, as well as we are in the process of reviewing the downtown stops as well, because they seem to have forgotten that any public transit should stop downtown. So we are working on that as well. So you can take that back to the petitioners, and we'd appreciate you helping pass that word on that. Thank you.
Nothing? Okay. So, thank you very much. There was one little bit of good news that was probably music to Director Coleman's ears, where you said, your road is a good road.
We'd like to keep it that way.
I know. Like with the terrible fall, winter, and spring conditions, a lot of our roads are in very bad shape right now, and we're working very hard to bring them up to snuff. So, Director Coleman, you can take that back to staff, that there was actually a compliment on our road. So, thank you very much for coming, and, we'll hope for good news for you sooner rather than later. Okay?
Thank you, and I want to thank Mayor Drew and Councillor Watton and Councillor Guido for their very quick response when I emailed right away. It was very impressive.
Well, thank you. We aims to please, don't we?
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Motion to receive the delegation. Councillor Watton, Councillor Guido, questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Call on Luann Young, who's going to tell us about the TELUS Motorcycle Ride for Dad again this year. That's exciting news. Councillor Watton?
I'm sorry, Mayor Drew, but I just wondered what happened with the petition.
Oh.
Could
You
they
still got the
please
petition
give that
in your
to Sandra?
Would you give it to our
So we could
recording
have a
secretary,
copy?
please? Thank you. I'm sorry, thank you. Luann, welcome. You have 5 minutes, and I know that you've got an exciting announcement for us, so please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Your Worship Mayor Drew, fellow councillors, and ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we're going to be at the Scugog Community Recreation Centre here in Port Perry on Saturday, June 8th for our prostate cancer fundraising event. And just so you all know, up to date, we've given back into the Durham and the Greater Toronto East. In other words, research doctors in Sunnybrook, Princess Margaret are also included when we do grants. And we've given back $406,925 into research and awareness. That's net.
Yeah.
So, and many of the research doctors have said to me that we are a lot of the times the seed money. They have a research project to do, and the bigger, like if they want $500,000, those type of corporate sponsors won't sponsor them because they want proof that their experiment or their research is going to work. So with our dollars, we become the seed money. They end up getting results, and then they present these results to the fundraisers that can give them a lot more money. So they're very thankful for what we do because we can introduce their research projects. Once again, our rides from 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning is registration. The night before on Friday, June 7th from 5 o'clock to 8, and we're occupying the skate pad 1 in the Scugog Community Recreation Centre. We register in the morning, and then at 9:30 our speeches begin, and of course I'll be sending you an official invitation if you'd like to come and speak to our riders and welcome them to our community. But I will be sending you an official invitation for that, Madam Mayor. And then at 10 o'clock, we leave, and we do it's about 4-hour poker run throughout the countryside, and it goes all around Rice Lake and comes back to the Skigog Community Center. There's 3 poker stops while they're out there, and they pull a poker card, and when they come back to the Skigog Community Recreation Center, it's around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we have a barbecue, and we give them door prizes and top poker hand prizes, and then we announce the top pledge earners. And for registration fee is $40. You don't have to be a rider. You can go into ridefordad.ca/Durham and register as a champion. So you can still, yourselves, if you don't have motorcycles, you can be a champion and raise money. And for every $100 in pledges that you bring in, our registration fee is waived. There's no registration fee for it. So if you bring in 100, we waive your registration fee. You can donate it, or you can have it refunded. That's sort of part of the deal. And we have a national ambassador this year. If you're a country music fan, you've probably heard of him. Jason McCoy of the Roadhammers. He's become our national ambassador, so at all his major concerts, he's, I guess you could call it, sponsoring us by telling people about prostate cancer, and be sure to go and get checked. And we're actually really trying to get people to get checked as at least the age of 40. Now, many doctors will say, sure, no problem, like the digital rectal exam, many men have no problem now going and getting checked for that. But the one that seems to be really discovering the cancer very early is the prostate-specific antigen test. It's the PSA test. It's a blood test. And many doctors say, often to the younger men especially, you don't need that yet. And what's happening is we're getting some results back from riders saying, you know, I said to my doctor, I don't care, I want a PSA test. And when they say that, they're charged, like it's not free because the doctor hasn't, you know, thought they needed it. It's $30 fee, but it has saved many men's lives. They've actually ended up, a couple of the riders have come back to me, and one of our men on our executive committee, he demanded it, and he got it, and they detected early prostate cancer, and they've been cured. So just so you're aware, all doctors aren't quite on board, you know, with it as we are to get that PSA test. It really is been successful. So, is there anything, does anyone have any questions? Is there anything you have for me?
Questions? No? Okay, Councillor Brown?
Yes?
Through you, Madam Mayor, first of all, just congratulations on your great work. I think it's wonderful. I wanted to know, sponsorship. Just out of curiosity, do you have a motorcycle sponsor yet? Have you, been approached, or have you approached anybody, a motorcycle company, to sponsor a ride like this?
To sponsor us, well, yes.
To be a sponsor, like a corporate sponsor.
Well, we have, Mackey Harley Davidson's, they give us prizes. Trying to think what other bikes. Our Class C Chassis and Cycle is one of our poker stops. So they're sponsoring us in that way, and they give us a few prizes. But monetary sponsorship for many of the motorcycle dealerships, no. We only are managing to get prizes out of them. Okay.
Subsequent to that, do I understand correctly that you want the event deputized? Am I reading this correctly? You want it deputized and the parade allowed? Is that what we're doing this evening?
Yes, that's correct. I have connected with Staff Sergeant Colin Shaw, and he has put the Durham Regional Police Auxiliary into place. There's 12 to 15 of them. Yes, I forgot to tell you that. At 10 o'clock, we start the parade, and it goes from Reach Street down to Simcoe, and it turns on Queen. It goes Queen, Water, and then usually we used to turn left and go across the island, but this year we're turning right, and then we're sort of making a circle, and we're going to be turning right again up at Simcoe Street, like right at Water, onto Scugog, and then right on Simcoe again, because it's going to be going up Simcoe Street North. So the parade is actually going to end again at Simcoe and Reach. That's where the parade will actually end, and then the riders are on their own for the polka run.
And just one more, if I may, Madam Mayor. And the intersections are going to be blocked between 10 and 10:30 in the township on the 8th of June, that Saturday?
That's correct.
That's correct? And just out of and just having to make mention of this, because I had an anchor that I worked with, his name was Ken Shaw, and he got the PSA test, and he was one of those people who survived the cancer, prostate cancer, and he's advised everybody, for goodness sakes, guys, if you get the chance and you're over 40, have the PSA test done. So congratulations to you and your great work.
That's fantastic to hear. Thank you.
Okay, further questions? Okay, gentlemen, $30, that's $30 you're able to spend.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah.
Yes, it's worth it, it's worth it. We've been trying to get the Ontario government to let it be a free test. It is if you have any relatives, like if your father or grandfather had it, it's free. Or if the doctor says, I think maybe we should check it out, then it's free.
Preventative medicine.
Yeah.
It should be free.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The awareness part is really important to get checked. And like I say, it's just 2 easy exams.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your delegation. We'll certainly see you on that day. I'll look
Thank
forward
you.
to your invitation, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to receive? Councillor Watton, Councillor McDougall, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we now have our own Stacy Jibb, Rural Economic Development Coordinator, telling us about the Scugog Community Investment Guide, and if you'll refer to your report on page 5, we'll be dealing with that right afterwards. Welcome, Stacy. Please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for having me tonight. So, I'm just going to go through the website. It's not currently live yet, but I'll just provide a bit of an overview. You can refer to the report for additional information. So the goal of this site is essentially to try to facilitate and attract additional manufacturing, industrial, and commercial investment to the township. So we've been working with Clear Vision, a company here in Port Perry, to help do just the back-end development of the site. This has also been vetted by the Economic Development Advisory Committee, so they have had a chance to review it. So just on the home page is essentially where we will have users land first. It's just a bit of an overview and makes it easy to navigate to the other portions of the site. We're kind of focusing on 3 areas, so the business park, which is the employment lands, the Port Perry employment lands, historic downtown Port Perry, and the commercial center, which is just between Highway 7A and Scugog Line 6, also known as the Smart Center. We just felt those areas were where we really wanted to try to have strategic targeted investment. So the homepage also features business testimonials from local businesses and just some key pitch pieces on why you would want to invest in Scugog. We're really trying to target the lifestyle piece as well. So it's great to have a business here, but we can also offer an excellent quality of life in Scugog. So those are kind of the pieces that we're trying to highlight, and we're really trying to also drive people to the available properties portion, so that's easy to find on every aspect of the site. Okay, so the next element is why Scugog. So this is more of the pitch on why come to Scugog. So we've highlighted some main pitches that we want, especially investors, to take note of. In particular, the employment lands. Once the community improvement plan is available, there'll be incentives and grant opportunities that will hopefully help as well to facilitate investment. We've got top-rated industries here, such as healthcare services. We have a lot of really fast-growing industries, and also the proximity to transportation corridors in the larger GTA market is something that we really want to highlight. Close to the 401, 407, and Pearson International Airport. So we've included a bit of a map too that also tries to just highlight that proximity piece. So the second element is properties. So as you can see, a disclaimer pops up just to kind of cover liability aspects to make sure that if something is outdated, properties do change very quickly. If something happens we can't keep up with it, that's just kind of to cover us for liability. So, as you can see, the 3 areas that I mentioned are delineated on the map. So we have the employment lands, we also have the commercial corridor, and then historic downtown Port Perry. So the pins that you see on the map reflect current properties that are available. So you can also scroll down and see a listing of all the properties that are on the map. I'll just click on one so you can have an opportunity to see what it includes. So we've just included the basic information, what type of property it is, it's for sale, the price, the building size, so this is actually a vacant lot, that's why it's saying no building, land size, and then a description about the property. So we've also made it very easy to find additional information about the property, so you can just easily enter your name and an email will be sent off directly to me, and then I can kind of vet the information from there. So if someone's specifically looking for site-specific details, it'd probably be best for them to contact the real estate agent. If they're looking for zoning or building-related questions, then we can make sure the appropriate staff are responding. The third element is targeted to our developers. So mainly this includes some of those more strategic items and long-term, such as the vision, incentives that are going to be available once the community improvement plan for the employment lands and the downtown are available, as well as major projects that are happening here in Scugog and the strategic plan. So we'll make sure these all get updated as these projects progress so that the information is current and available. And we also have, it's very easy for people to contact us directly. We want to make that easy so they can get information. We're offering that great customer service that does show we're open for business. So now that was a very quick 101. I can go back if there's any details you'd like to look at more in depth.
Any questions? Councillor Watt and Councillor Kiesebring.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Stacy, for your presentation. I just have a quick question. When, say, a developer looks at one of the properties and inputs the information, is there also a link to the realtor?
Yes, I believe there should be a link to the realtor.
I didn't see it, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I thought there was, but you're right, I'm not seeing one right now, so that's something we can definitely take care of.
Probably would make your life a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay, Councillor Watton? No. Councillor Kiesebring?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much, Stacy, for a wonderful presentation. We're really excited and you're a very hardworking rural economic development coordinator, so we're thrilled about that. We're also really appreciative of the region economic development and tourism because they are funding this valued guide for us, and that's really amazing. We really appreciate that. Just a couple quick comments. It might be a good idea, especially for the heritage piece that's right off the homepage, to have a link to the new Scugog tourism website, because it does give it. There's so much work that's already been done on that website, and it has so many visuals and calendar of events. I think it might really tap into the lifestyle that you're wanting to promote through the site. So if there was a link right off the home page, but also when you click on that heritage piece, it would give you so much more visuals for people if they want to proceed further and pursue that information further. Just one comment. And then as far as who's updating the website, like when there's new properties for sale and so on? How is that going to work?
So that will primarily be my role. So I have access to the back end of the website, and it's very easy to update on a regular basis. I mean, obviously, as I mentioned, they change very quickly, so we'll just have to do the best we can and update it as often as we can.
Further, Madam Mayor, so is there going to be a way for people in the community that have commercial sites that they want to list? Are they all going to have to come through you? Would there be a way for people to self-load commercial listings for sale?
At the current time, they would have to go through me. I'm not sure that'd be something we'd maybe have to discuss if people wanted to self-load. So I don't have an answer for that right now, but
just know how busy you are. I'm wondering if there's a lot of activity, what that might do to your workload, and further to Councillor Watton's comment as well. Another comment, Madam Mayor. Currently, when you select the link, any link, it seems to take you away from the website. So rather than opening in a separate window, and I don't know if it's just because it's not ready to be public yet, but I'm just wondering if when you click, like, if you click on the economic development, that one repeats to the same page, so
I
that was
think-
another,
I think that will be corrected
That's gonna
when
be
it actually
corrected? Okay.
goes live, yes.
okay. And there will be, my last comment is, there will be more testimonials besides PP Print regarding, okay,
Absolutely.
great, thank you so much, it's a beautiful site.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Guido?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Kiesebrink asked my question about the testimonials. What was the process, or what is the process to seek other testimonials from other businesses or developers in town?
We don't have a formal process, but I'm sure as we've kind of started to communicate and launch this site a little bit more, maybe that's part of how we could consider getting more testimonials. For now, we just kind of made a short list and reached out to some particular businesses, but definitely open to including others.
And is there only one on there right now?
For now, yes.
Oh, there's, okay.
But we have some others, yes.
Okay,
They just
perfect.
aren't appearing right now.
And this site here, is this one that's going to go live? I just caught a few, not grammatical, but punctuation issues. Is that...
We can absolutely make changes before it goes live.
Okay, all right. I'll send you my thoughts, that we don't need to discuss now, but I'll
Okay.
send you what I thought.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Further? Councillor McDougall?
Thank you, thank you for your presentation. Quick questions, in terms of the top-rated industries that we selected, how are they chosen?
So they're chosen through the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. We have access to a economic development database called Analyst. So it takes into account, I think, 9 different sources like Statistics Canada, National Household Survey, different economic sources, and it basically does that analytics for us. So I pulled it through that system.
Okay, now I just asked because I know we have a fair number of telecommunication and fiber optic contracting companies in the area. It seems to be a hotbed for that these days, and I wasn't sure, that doesn't seem to be reflected anywhere in the information. As well, in terms of the lots that you'll be posting, will it also be listing what services are available at those locations?
Not at the current time, but something we could consider adding. Do you mean like services available such as water or sewer, those sorts of things?
Yes, exactly. I think there takes a fair bit of time of everybody's to, saying what services are there and not available. I think it might save us a few phone calls. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Kiesebrink?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There was just one other thing I forgot to mention. We do have a map for each of the different pages, but the commercial, I think the commercial properties, that one didn't have a map, and I'm wondering if that's going to be added for that link off the homepage.
I think that it's just not showing as a map because we don't have any properties currently listed in the commercial area, right? So the others have publicly listed properties, and that's where I pulled them from, but there's just not any currently available for that geographic area right now.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you, Stacy, for a wonderful presentation. I'd also like to recognize Nancy Rutherford from the region, the Economic Development Department, so thank you for coming, Nancy. And when will this be going live?
Considering we may have some changes to make, probably looking at a couple weeks just to make those changes and make sure that we really have it polished before it goes live.
Oh, that's great.
Hopefully the beginning of June, I think, would be a good benchmark to aim for.
Great. Well, congratulations again. It's amazing as it is, and with all the little suggestions that we had for you, I'm sure it's just going to be outstanding. So thank you so much for all your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Could I have a motion, please, to receive the presentation? Councillor Kiesebrink, Councillor Brown. Questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we'll turn to the report now. Is there any questions on the report? If not, can we have that the Scugog Community Investment Guide be approved? A motion to that effect, please. Councillor Kiesebrink, Councillor Guido, questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. The next report is on page 8, Service Treatment and Slurry Seal. Kevin Arsenault here? Nope. Okay, so Carol, it looks like you. It's on page 8 of your agenda package. Can I have a motion to put it on the floor, please? Councillor Watton, that the contract report be received and that the contract for the surface treatment of Cartwright West Quarter Line and slurry seal of Cartwright West Quarter Line and Edgerton Road be awarded to Royal Paving in the amount of $370,455.13, including HST. Seconder? Councillor Ross? Questions or comments for Director Coleman? Councillor Kieserbrink?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm really grateful for the much-needed work on Cartwright West Quarter Line, and especially the slurry seal as well on Edgerton Road. To be supported in this contract award is really great. I'm glad that there's a bit of resources potentially left over. I'm just wondering about Spring Boulevard, as there were monies originally to be allocated for slurry seal for Spring Boulevard as well. How much would be needed to complete the water issues repairs for Spring Boulevard?
Director Coleman?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. So, we learned why Spring Boulevard is called Spring Boulevard. There's water coming up from beneath the road, and there's about 100 meters that, since we did this, the hard surfacing last year, is kind of falling apart because of that water. So we contacted both Miller Paving, who did the work, and a geotechnical consultant, and we're getting some expert feedback on that. I don't have the recommendations yet, or what it will cost to repair Spring Boulevard, but we do have some money left in the Spring Boulevard budget, so I'm hoping that there'll be enough to cover it in those repairs. And so we will be going ahead with that, and then we will be doing a slurry seal in the future when the road is repaired.
Further?
Through you, Madam Mayor, then if the resources that are left, assuming that we end up meeting the contingency as is often the case, that would leave $51,800 or so. Rather than spending that on tree trimming and inspections and so on, can we not hold on to those resources since Spring Boulevard was originally to receive its slurry seal with this? Can we not hold on to that towards that future work that will be needed?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. So there's two things there. One, this $51,000 is specifically dedicated by the capital budget towards Cartwright West Quarter Line, so it's not meant to be used for Spring Boulevard. And we need to do the culvert replacements now. We don't want to hard surface the road and come back and do culvert replacement or ditching or trees. All that is important to make sure that the road, once it's reconstructed, will stay reconstructed for as long as possible. We do have on a separate budget that we had for Spring Boulevard some money left there, so that's what we'll use towards Spring Boulevard repairs. And if we need more money than that, then we'll ask council for additional funding to repair Spring Boulevard.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that clarification. I appreciate that.
Councillor Brown?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Director, can you tell me when we're going to begin that work and when it's going to end, roughly?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. So we have to wait for the council meeting for this to be fully approved. Assuming council approves it today, then they'll have to approve it on May 27th, and then we'll award it to the contractor. They'll need 2 to 3 weeks to mobilize and do service locates. So my best guess is that the work would start about the beginning of June on that road.
Okay, and just subsequent, if I may, one more. We probably have plans to put a sign up advertising that we're actually working on people's roads. Because I think in this day and age, in this township, it's very important that we have signage saying, hey, citizens of Scugog, here's what we're doing. We're doing work on your roads, so that will be part of it, I would hope.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, we have on the communication section, there's described how we tell residents about it, so we will take notice letters to every resident that's on that road. We will hand deliver notices to them. We also put it on our website and through social media. There will be probably signage, construction signs telling people that there will be lane closures and traffic delays, so there will be signage on the road as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McDougall?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. To Director Coleman. Question is the award for the contract on Edgerton Road, it says it's for an amount of $374.55 including HST, but if I page down to 2.3 for tenders and bids, it says it's $403,857.93 including HST. Why is there a difference in the number?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the counselor, I think the difference is, this was the total tender amount that included Spring Boulevard as well. And then when we took Spring Boulevard off, that's the amount that we're awarding, because we're not awarding Spring Boulevard at this point. The slurry seal on Spring Boulevard.
So they were tendered together, not separately?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor Ross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, to Director Coleman, questions in regard to Spring Boulevard. We've invested the money that we have in order to get it up to snuff before the winter started. And then my understanding is that we have to wait a certain amount of time before the slurry seal goes on to finish off the road. The money that's already been invested in that road, given the damage and the condition it is in now, without that slurry seal being put on top of the areas that are not damaged, is there a concern that that road is going to deteriorate faster and cause more problems?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, I don't think this delay will cause that problem. I think if we do a slurry seal within 2 to 3 years after the road's construction, I think we'll protect that road without any issues. If it goes a lot longer than that, then there could be issues, but I think if we do it next year, I don't see any problem with the road.
Okay. Further through you, Madam Mayor, just knowing the issues with the water conditions in Spring Boulevard, time frame going forward as to when we'll identify what needs to be done on Spring Boulevard, what are your estimates now, and then going ahead with the slurry seal?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, I think that we should be able to do the repairs this summer for Spring Boulevard. The problem with doing slurry seal is there were issues with the road that needs to be repaired, but it was also over our budget for slurry seal to do Spring Boulevard. The prices came in higher than we thought, so we won't be able to do it within this year's budget, so we will have to budget for it next year for the slurry seal portion.
Okay, just to clarify that, so the slurry seal portion, even though it was, the tender was put for Spring Boulevard, we're not accepting that, but we can afford it anyways this year, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, the extra repairs that will be required on Spring Boulevard, those will be a separate budget item that'll have to come forward because of the extent of the repairs that are required on this new road?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, I'll have to wait to see how much it's going to cost. I don't have the number in front of me, but the Spring Boulevard capital account is still open, and we didn't spend all of the money last year for that, so we do have some money in that account still left over that we can use.
Do you know how much money is left over in that account?
I don't know that.
So I put you on the spot, sorry. Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Councillor McDougall?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just looking at the budget sheet, through to Director Coleman, looking at the budget sheet, and I think it was budgeted at $295,000 for Cartwright Quarter Line, and the tender amount that we're awarding is for, with Spring Boulevard removed, for Cartwright Quarter Line is $370,455. But when I page down on page 10, it says that Royal Paving for the Cartwright Quarter Line is $221. So I'm just trying to figure out the differences in the numbers and why.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, so it does get confusing seeing all those numbers. The 370 on the first page of that report, page 8, includes HST. On page 10, the third page of the report, the contract award to Royal Paving for the Cartwright portion, so it doesn't include any slurry seal, and it only includes the 1.76% of the HST that the township has to pay. The rest is rebated to us. So that's the difference in the numbers.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? To the motion, all those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. Moving to the next report on page 13. It's another, it's a REACH Simcoe project. Director Coleman? Oh, sorry, I'll get a motion first. Motion to, thank you, Councillor McDougall. Seconder, Councillor Brown. Okay, that the township contribute to the regional municipality of Durham in the amount of $100,000 net of HST rebate for the installation of sidewalks and multi-use path included in contract D 2019-026, and to receive the report. Questions or comments for Director Coleman? Oh, seeing none? Questions, all those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. Correspondence, we received some correspondence on page 17 from Mr. Gettenby. Has he finished, is he retired yet? Okay, the former CAO and municipal clerk of the Township of Brock, providing a resolution about Ontario Autism Program. Is there a motion on this? Councillor Guido?
I'd like to move to endorse this.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Watton, questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. No new business or general information. No closed session needed now. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Guido, Councillor Watton, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. 7:15.